You're listening to Otto's Powerhouse.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's podcast. This is Pato. Thanking you for tuning in because, well, I know that you have options. And you ask, how do I know you have options? Well, because I'm listening to all these options. If it's not Kevin Smith, it's Joe Rogan. If it's not Joe Rogan, it's Mark Maron. I listen to a lot of options. And now I've been picking up new ones like Dr. Dean. It's called Bedtime Stories with Dr. Dean. Check it out. I found it on Spotify, but that's a pretty funny guy. And right now he just started. I think he's episode 2. He might be dropping another one as we speak. I don't know, but so far so good, man. I like he's giving a little background of, where he comes from, so you get to know him. And apparently he's an awesome chiropractor there in the LA area. No, he's not paying me a dime to say this, but what can I say? I like him. I like Darren Carter, which they're friends. And speaking of that, he's gonna be in town too this weekend. And no, he's not paying me a dime. No, but I want to go. It'd be nice to. Hopefully, it's like on a. I think I can manage. If it's a Saturday night, I just might get lucky and squeeze it in and go have some fun. And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe even get to meet him. And tell. I don't know, maybe do a quick podcast there with him. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Of course, if it's not on a Saturday night, then who knows, because I'm always working. I'm a hardworking individual. Y'all know that. I told you. All right, so how you been? Well, I know it's kind of weird, podcasting here. I'm asking you how you've been, but you know what? You can let me know how you're doing, what you think of the show, what you'd like to hear, just whatever. Just say hi, you can shoot me an email at pdgpodcast1@gmail.com or at pdghostwriter, pdghostwriter, pdghostwriter@gmail.com. Or you can send me a text message. Here, let me give you the text number.
Otto's Powerhouse text line 602-529-7273. Otto's Powerhouse text line 602-529-7273.
Alrighty then. I played it twice just in case, but you can always rewind and get the text line. Send me a text message. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're doing, and I'd love to hear from you. What else was I gonna say today? Oh well. Oh yeah. Well, so I was working the other morning because that's what I usually do. And this dude was cruising by blasting the radio. And then as he was driving by, near the area where I was, the station break came. And I can't remember exactly what radio station it was, but that made me think. When was the last time that I listened to the radio? So let me ask you, when's the last time you listened to the radio? Is the radio still relevant in your life? Because I just realized, and I think that I've gone at least 4 years without listening to a radio station. I mean, probably when I go out, at the mall or at a store, at a restaurant, maybe they're playing the radio. But me, let's see, like before I used to get in my car, and I gotta have tunes. But now it's through the miracle of modern technology, it's all in my phone. I either use Pandora or Spotify or Amazon Music, and I got different playlists that I listen to, so I'm not tuning in to the radio. But before, that was all I did, the radio. And yeah, I think I haven't listened to the radio in at least good 4 years, because especially I got hooked in listening to podcasts, which of course those are not on the radio. So I'm listening to podcasts on, Spreaker, of course, because that's where you find podcasts like Pato's Powerhouse, Cursory Overload, and Tales from the Guard Shack. Not to, wink, wink, little shameless self-promotion there, or tooting my own horn. Not to toot my own horn, but yeah, you can find those on Spreaker. You can also find Pato's Powerhouse and Cursory Overload on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio app. How awesome is that, huh? We're all over the place. Or you could just Google Cursory Overload or Google Pato's Powerhouse, and you're going to find links to where we're at. We have a web presence, something that is freaking amazing, and we've only been doing this under a year. I don't even know how this happened, but it's awesome. Like I said, we are not making any money off of it as of yet. We hope that someday we get sponsors and maybe turn this hobby into a full-time gig, because I love talking to y'all. But as I was saying, I can't remember the last time I listened to the radio. And I started thinking of when I first started paying attention to the radio. Because, when I was a youngster, obviously video games were my thing. And I only got as far as Atari 2600, because, let's just face it, I come from a family that didn't have much resources. I remember all they could get me was a 2600, and I played the heck out of that one. And I don't remember what happened to it. I don't know, probably in one of those moving back and forth, because when I was a youngster, we used to bounce around a lot because, my parents didn't have the ideal relationship. And like I said, I'm not gonna, it is what it is. Years have gone by. My dad's no longer around, and my mom just turned 80. In fact, we celebrated her 80th birthday. And like I said, they did the best they could with what they had. And as I've gotten older, I didn't hold any resentment to that. Like some people, they hold the fact that their life wasn't perfect. They hold it against their parents. Like, it's your fault that I didn't do this and I didn't do that. Look, that ain't true. There's so much things that, where we start doesn't determine where we end up, We have choices. We have a lot to say in the matter, except when we're kids. And when I was a kid, I was bouncing back and forth. But bottom line, what I was saying is, they gave me an Atari 2600, and I remember playing Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, Asteroids. Asteroids was the game that came with. But what I'm saying is, after I got a little bit older and, I started paying attention to music, because I noticed that girls like music, and it was like, like a common denominator, common language, I believe the first radio station that I took notice back in the day was KZZP 104.7, the number one hit music station. And this is back in the 80s, I think Bruce Kelly was the radio DJ. It was crazy. All right, as I was saying, Bruce Kelly was the DJ. That was 104.7 KZZP. And then I remember, let's see, I can't remember. From there, I think KKFR was like the next thing, was the fire station. Now You're Playing with Fire was the big thing, and they played all kinds of different music too. And actually, let's see. In all reality, I guess my first exposure to that was my first exposure to like hit music. My first exposure to like a radio station was a AM station, 960 Cool Gold, because that's what my parents listened to. That was one of those that my dad had this old beat up truck that had a radio with the old buttons in it, and it was an AM station, not even an FM station. So you were listening to an AM station on that thing. So I listened to a lot of Beatles, Elvis. I mean, I remember they used to play a lot of Elvis back in the day. Elvis. It's like, but I didn't mind it. I actually liked it. I learned to appreciate that music. In fact, I still listen to it because today's music doesn't really do it for me. But what I'm saying, okay, so cool, Gold, but that wasn't the station that a lot of the kids were listening to, or if they were listening to it, they weren't admitting that in school. It was KZZP, it was KKFR. Then KKFR turned into a power station. I think it was Power 92, and it became the hip hop station. And then I think 103.9 came around. Y95, that Bruce Kelly guy from KZZP moved to Y95, and wow. Then we had the rock stations, KDKB, KUPD. I mean, that was, it's funny, as kids, I mean, even though we didn't have money to go buy tapes and stuff like that, we had a lot of outlets where we could listen to music. And of course, we had our tape decks, and that was the way we downloaded music back in the day. We would wait for our favorite songs to play on the radio, hit the record button, and then hope that the radio DJ didn't talk while the freaking music was playing, because man, that would piss me off so bad. But I mean, okay, that was back in the 80s, and as I started working, of course, music makes the night go by faster. So I used to listen to a lot of music stations, and then I started listening to Coast to Coast, which I guess that's what kind of prepped me for podcasting, because we used to listen to George Norrie, and Coast to Coast, man, that was crazy. Always listening about the weird alien theories, people being abducted and all this other crap. That was a fun listen, I remember. So but anyway, that was for the longest time, that's what I used to listen to. Then I think when CD players came, cassette players and CD players, I stopped listening to radio, and it was just cassettes and CDs. So I think for a good 10, maybe even more, maybe 15 years of my life, I haven't really been paying attention to the radio stations. I've been, I guess, yeah, okay. When I was working, and sometimes I used to go, as you know, I work in the security field, so sometimes I'd be on patrol, and we had no other option but to listen to the radio. So I listened to the radio on the car there, whatever vehicle, assuming the radio was working. But as I was saying, it's been a long time, but I can tell you that at least in the past 4 years, for sure, the last 4 years, I have not listened to any radio station. It's always been a playlist. It's always been a podcast or something. It's either Pandora, it's either Spotify. So, I mean, I realized that radio's not as relevant as it used to be in my life. How about yours? I'm just curious. I mean, I'm probably going to put it on my Twitter account too, asking how relevant is, radio in your life? Or are you streaming everything? Well, like I said, pdgpodcast1@gmail.com. Hit me up, let me know, or
Potholes Powerhouse text line 602-529-7273.
And there it is. I mean, the text line, you can rewind that, listen to it. It's 602-529-7273. But send me a text message. Let me know, are you still listening to the radio? And if so, what radio station, what town, you don't have to get all personal and stuff. But anyway, and you don't have to worry, I'll never text you or anything, send you unsolicited text messages or, any of that stuff.